So what's going on with OMAS? We have a special guest today for you guys. We have Frank Zhang, and he is the co-founder of Nahvalur Pens and the managing partner of OMAS Pens, recently reborn OMAS Pens. For the folks that aren't aware, OMAS was a brand that started in Italy by Armando Simoni, and back in 2016, was it?
2017, the company went through liquidation.
It just went into liquidation. But as with other brands that have happened in the past, you have Conklin, Esterbrook are notable examples. OMAS has been reborn in the 2020s, let's say, in our decade right now. So we have Frank to talk about OMAS Pens, of course, and a little bit of backstory on how he became so familiar and basically had restarted this brand. So Frank, welcome to the YouTube channel, the Gold Spa YouTube channel. And if you feel free to introduce and give us a little bit about your background as well.
All right. Thank you, Tom, for the introduction, and thank everyone for watching this video. And my name is Frank. For those who are familiar with me, I've been involved with Nahvalur for the past 4 years, and I started Nahvalur with my partner Samuel in 2019. And we've been having a tremendous growth since then. And when the opportunity came, we partnered up with Emanuele Codogironi from the Pen family when he acquired all the material from OMAS when it went for liquidation in 2017. We decided last year to start the OMAS brand again. OMAS is a brand, I'm sure for Tom and for a lot of people out there, including myself, as a pen collector, being a very, like a holy grail brand. When it went out, it was really, like, everybody feel really bad, and I went on second market to collect a lot of, like, the old OMAS pens. And when the opportunity came, and we decided to revive the brand after the experience I had with starting Nahvalur and in the pen industry, and also of course with a lot of helps like former retailer like Gold Spot and a lot of like different Italian collectors. So we are able to bring back the OMAS. I hope we get rid of the bad parts they had in the past, and try to build a better pen and more reliable pen, and stay the same Italian beauty that it is.
Yeah, I mean, this company had a huge, long history. I think since 1919, I want to say. It was early 1900s.
It's like in the early 1900s, Mr. Armando Simoni started the brand as manufacturer for a lot of for Parker and for parts for American pens. In 1925, he officially started the brand, and for the model we see here is called Paragon that started in 1930s, called OMAS Extra, and it was a design they came out in the 30s, and we never really changed it. It's a 12 faceted sides, and with this like rolling clip, and have been very influential for Italian pen design ever since then. So this is one model we decided to bring it back as one of the first pen we bring back in August 2023 with the a little bit improved design to accommodate
the inks that would be used in modern times.
Inks for modern time, also the moving celluloid over time. So we put extra structure inside the pen. It makes the pen a little bit bigger than the vintage model, but this is like what we feel like we have to do to make it more reliable than it was before.
Safer to use, so just in case you wanted to throw a super sheeny ink or shimmer ink in it, it's not going to then seep out into the celluloid and then cause issues with the color of the celluloid, which is of course what you would want to, you buy these pens for the celluloid because the celluloid is beautiful. It's a material that is used a lot in vintage pens, but not really seen that much in modern pens because it's very labor intensive to make. It's very dangerous to make. It's highly flammable, but the material is just so gorgeous, has a depth and luster that's unique, and hard to replicate with acrylic, if not impossible. So something like the wild celluloid, which is the Paragon that's on the left, or my left there, that it just like that black and white pattern, it's just you can't find an acrylic that has that sort of style to it. And also it's got that little camphor smell too. So if you take off the cap and you sniff the cap, it just has a different, it's just celluloid just hits different. So that's one of the improvements that you made with the Paragon, is that you needed to make sure that people could put like a very saturated type of ink, or that they could not have to necessarily put just very safe inks like a Waterman ink in all of their OMAS pens. They could expand outwards a little bit and not have to worry about ruining the material of their pen.
Yes, correct. That's one improvement we did on the Paragon shape. With a labor-intensive work just for the shape and everything, so we decided only to put the original celluloid was given by my partner from Pen Family as his contribution to this venture, to have the original OMAS celluloid. Right now it's available in wild, blue Rahoya, and green Saft. For those precious, I know people are asking where's Arco and everything. Those we only use on very special project, and you will see that coming soon in November.
Nice. Yeah. The Arco is always like if you're going to talk about Grail pens and OMAS being a pen that's very highly collectible, it's always the Arcos that are at the top of everybody's list. Like the Arco celluloid just has that shine. It has that that multi-layered, faceted sort of look about it, and it just, there's nothing quite like it. But then for people who aren't, because this MSRP is quite up there, because it is a celluloid pen. It's heavily worked with the facets on the pen, and it's got the 14 karat gold nib, the restructured inner piston mechanism. And you know, for what it's worth though, it is quite dearly priced. But we do have options that are more approachable for the everyday writing enthusiast.
Yes, the price on that is $10.95, and you can find on various retailers, and for I think goes about doing 20% off. So for the market, collectible market on the celluloid, it is a very good price. And we engineered actually the replica of OMAS 14 karat gold nib instead of you sourcing a common nib. This is also I believe in when we bring the OMAS back, is we are not going to use a common nib or just source a German nib. We want to build the nib as OMAS used to build it, like with the ebonite feeder, with the shape of what it had. The I don't know if we can show it on the camera, with the arrow nib, which is widely popular in the collector market.
So this is basically like reverse engineered from, let's say, pens that you had in your collection. Yes. and just like taking a look at it and trying to figure out how it was done previously.
Also with the documents we had like from the company integration and everything, we were able to remake some of those stuff they made in the past. So moving on from the most popular, like most demanded stuff, on the other hand, with OMAS Ogiva shape, we did a very faithful reproduction of the OMAS Ogiva. So with the people who have the Vintage Ogiva from the 90s, you can compare them, and you can see they look almost exactly the same. Only thing we did improvement is the piston mechanism. We upgraded to a metal piston instead of a plastic piston, which people had a lot of problem with, especially with 30 years of age. On a lot of pens, they have problems. But before I go into the model, I have to reiterate this. We, as the revived OMAS, we are making a commitment to service all the old ones, Barry OMAS trademark. With, of course, with a charge, but this is what we want to do as the revived brand. We don't want to leave all the existing product out there just for people to not feel like there's a company in the back. If the company is back, we are making the commitment to service all the old ones.
That's awesome. What kind of warranty did they have, or is it just it doesn't matter what kind of warranty that they had, and you just would service them
We are not going to honor the warranty on the old ones, but we are going to try our best to fix it. If you have a celluloid problem, if you have a deterioration on the color, we might be able to make you a new parts for it. We might be able to make a new feeder. Actually, we had quite a lot of demand after I went to 2 shows in August. A lot of people are sending in their old pens. They finally find a way to fix them, fix the problem they had in the past. Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great, because I mean that's one thing that you would be nervous about, especially buying them, let's say in the secondary market, was that there's no company anymore. How am I going to, if something goes wrong or I break something, how am I going to fix it? So you're going to be the contact person, and hopefully you won't get like that big of a flood from just like people seeing this video and be like, oh, I had an OMAS that was just sitting on the shelf over here, now I'm going to send it in. But I think though that would help over time, especially with like introducing the brand again with the newer product, is that you're willing to stand behind it and fix if there's anything that goes wrong with it.
Yes, we stand behind any product with OMAS trademark, and we try our best. And please go to omasofficial.com, and under product care, there's a section called Vintage Service. Send in as much detail as you can regarding the pen you have a problem with. We'll see what we can do, and we will communicate by email from there. Back to the Ogiva model. So we introduced, actually we relaunched the brand with Ogiva Extra, but the market feedback on that is kind of mixed. So we want to go back and stick with the more classic shape and the more like original design on the Ogiva. So this is a pen with my goal on when building this pen was we have the pen, and this is meant to be your rider, everyday rider. So this is going to be feel comfortable in your hands, and if you have a larger hand, it can post. And this is still based on the old Ogiva, so it's still a piston filler with a big ink reservoir, also with the 14-karat gold nib we re-engineered from the original drawings. So this is a great value pen. We want to put the pen at a great value for only $360. We're not gonna overcharge. We want to stay competitive with this product. We want to serve the market with a good product at a competitive price.
What kind of material is that on this one?
Actually, this particular one we launched for San Francisco Pen Show as a sponsor. So we made 23 pens for the show, and we sold almost all of them at the show. So this is actually Starry Night resin.
Oh, okay.
We use for Nahvalur quite a lot. So we really like the maker, and we have invested quite a lot with their colors and the materials. So when OMAS had like a small batch demand, that's where I went to source the material, and we are able to make this pen.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So did that come as a premium over the cost of so that was like the same price as the other Ogivas? Okay. Yes. So basically though, if you want to get an everyday Ogiva, there's the orange.
You have the orange, you have the blue, and you have the black. This is the everyday collection. The blue coming in gold and the silver.
If I can make a comparison to the 3776, it's kind of like the Chartres blue, where it's just a hint of translucency to the material. The black is just solid black, and the orange is quite transparent, so you could see through and you could see the piston mechanism inside and the barrel and the inside the cap as well. So it's a really nice lineup of colors. Is it going to be more of like a special edition adding colors, or is there going to be like more regular editions added to this?
For these, we are doing more special edition when we add colors, and we can do a few different additional just solid colors in this collection. With my plan is I want to introduce another line more along the line of like a rounded Paragon, which is called Bologna, to introduce more of the colorful ways like of Italian resin. And we have found our old supplier when they supply the celluloid, but of course they don't do the same flammable and stuff anymore. They are willing to kind of recreate the colors they have created for the OMAS in the past, and so we want to use those from the little bit bigger, like diameter shape than the Ogiva for the colors.
Nice. And I went back when OMAS was still the old OMAS. I had a Bologna. I had a Ogiva, the cocktail, which was really nice. I keep opening up the pens that don't have the nibs on it. There's just FYI, some of these are of course like sample models and things. So Frank has some that have nibs on them, some that don't. I don't have my old cocktail anymore, but it just does. It feels very similar to the original. And it just like I was writing with one so it's a week ago or so, just to test it out and also for like the videos and things, and I was just really surprisingly pleased at how smooth like a 14 karat gold nib could be, and how nice, and it also has like a good nice wet flow because of the ebonite feed, and just overall very, very pleasant to write with. So it does remind me a lot of it, but it's not the same in terms of I had the 14 karat extra flexibile nib. It's not going to be a flex nib, the 14K. It's going to be a regular writing nib that has a little bit of some pliability, some bounce in it, but not anywhere to where the 14 karat extra flexibile nib would be.
Yes. So currently in the lineup we have fine, medium, and we're gonna add broadening a little bit in September. For the specialty nib OMAS used to have, that's stuff we are working on, and we're going to put on the pens when we are more confident about the reliability and the production, so we can put on those. It's what Tom was talking about, the extra sleep nib was a kind of a different shape, but a little bit different engineering than the regular ones. So right now we're just focusing on making a pen that will write good for every day, then to add more fun later.
It's already pretty fun to write with as well. It's a very solid pen, especially these Paragons are beautiful, I would say collection worthy type pieces. And for an everyday type writing pen, something in the caliber of, like I mentioned before, like the Platinum's 3776 or it's like a Mont Blanc 146. I kind of feel it's got a little bit of that sort of vibe to it. It's although it does post a little bit longer on the longer side, but it still I think is like a really good solid everyday type writing with a gold nib and ebonite feed type of pen.
Yes. So kind of diverge from the conversation we had on the nibs. So this is a special, starting in September, we're going to have a special program on 2 limited edition cellular we're going to put out. It's the black and blue lucents. And on these, we are able to kind of customize a little bit on your nib choices based on our existing fine, medium, broad. We can do a little bit flexible on your demand. So this would be a program you buy the pen from either us or the retailer, and we will have a product registration open, and after registered, we're gonna relaunch the club program OMAS had in the past. So this is gonna bear the name Armando Simoni Club. We kind of license the name from the pen family to have the OMAS Club bag. Within the club, you can send in your pen for special nib tuning, like make it more flexible, make a little bit of. We will have a menu on the website soon.
So basically, you could buy the pen, and you would get the standard nib that comes on a fine or medium. And then as part of the club, when you register your pen, you could then send the pen to OMAS,
yes,
and you could make a specific request through the website to say, I want it to have a little bit more flex, or I want like this type of, could you ask for like specific grinds?
Yes, we will have a few special grinds put out as what we can do, and also the flexible ones as like the regular menu, so you can choose from a few specialty add on to the fine, medium, broad. So those will be modified based on what you want. Let's say a medium stub will be cut from a regular medium nib. Broad we can turn into architect, or like a little bit like in the Japanese like a Nahvalur nib.
Okay.
Yes, and for the flexible one, we're most likely gonna modify from fine,
like a fine
into,
point.
Yeah, a little bit more flexible nib. Yes.
Nice. And is this considered, because you're part of the club, is it like a separate charge to do that? Is it like an upcharge to send it in, or do you just have to? What kind of costs are entailed?
It will be available through the website, and you can choose your menu. So of course, based on the different kind of type of work, we're gonna charge it a bit differently. On the easier stuff will be complimentary. On the limited edition, these two new pens.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. So that does give a little bit more of a variety, and I like it from my point of view, because then I don't have to, like, as a retailer, you don't have to like stock a whole bunch of different varieties and nibs hoping that somebody is going to want a particular style of nib. We could just have the fine or medium available, and then they buy it, then they send it in for a customization to get it exactly how you would like.
Yes.
So.
And also through the club program, we are going to have specialty pens only available through the club, through the registered owner only. That's where we're gonna have the Arco pens coming as special orders through the program we're gonna launch in November.
So that'd be like for, if let's say somebody's part of the club, they've ordered and purchased an OMAS pen before that they've registered.
Yes.
They would then be able to have access to buy something like an Arco.
Yes, exactly. So we will be able to offer Arco, and in the Paragon model, and gonna be able to kind of choose the trim and choose the nib sizes and choose the customization. So that takes about 4 to 5 months, because first of all, a huge demand, and second of all, it's a quite labor-intensive work on to kind of line up the color and to make sure everything is perfect before we finish the production, and to add a little bit more customization for you, the customer. That's kind of the lead time we are expecting as if now.
So it sounds more like that OMAS, even though there are off-the-shelf models you could purchase, but it sounds a lot like the future, the next step is going to be a lot more bespoke, especially for those who are into, let's say, the more collectible aspect or the more one-of-a-kind type of interest in OMAS pens. So you're going to be able to, be part of the club, customize your nib, possibly have an opportunity to own a very exclusive pen that then you could put together the specific elements like the trim, and so that does sound very like customizable.
Also, the same program gonna be available through retailers. It's like you got to email your retailer after you purchase already something from us, and we can like work with your retailer, especially overseas, and we can work with you and try to build your most ideal pen in some way, and we're gonna send it to you after the customization process. Yes.
What was the feedback, I would say, because especially since you came from San Francisco a couple weeks ago, you were also at DC. What has been the feedback so far about the launch of the OMAS brand and the pens that have already been offered this month?
So far, our Ogiva model with, of course, the show exclusive and the colorful orange one has been very, really popular at the show. When we show people, that's kind of what they want. And for the collectible item, it's more like people who come and they already know the brand, and they came as I missed that color in my old collection. They bought one.
Right.
And one thing I feel like I did receive a pretty high compliment from an Italian collector was when I give them a pen to try with the new OMAS nib. They almost feel like, oh, well, I got a question, are you using the old nib? I would feel like a really good compliments. Like, we engineered the nib to a point, in a blind test, you probably not be able to know like quite a lot between the old 14 karat nib and the new one. Of course, there's a difference between the 18 and the 14.
Right.
But on the 14 karat, we did. From the industry, we did a good job on replicating the feel of those ones.
Yeah, and that's important because that was one of the key elements I think that people really enjoyed about OMAS pens in particular, was that the writing experience had to be one of the best. And that's something that Italian pens are really known for, is that they generally have a wet writing experience and it tends to be smoother versus, like, let's say Japanese type nibs, which tend to be a little bit more of a harder nib. Even gold nibs tend to be a little bit harder and they tend to be more narrow. But what you could expect with OMAS is going to be similar to what it was prior, which is a more fluid writing experience that is on the smoother and a little bit more pliable side. Yeah. So, and then on top of that, having the ability to be part of the club and then send your pen in. So is that, if anybody, let's say, has already bought an OMAS, because I know quite a few people have, they would be then like grandfathered into this club and then they could go, and that'd be really cool.
Yeah, so we will open the product registration in a week or so, and you'll be able to, when you register, you automatically become the club member. So you will receive special notification from us, will be something exclusive through the owner club already. So this is kind of the integration of what our market already know after OMAS went out, was the Armando Simoni Club, ASC, and we remerged the two companies into OMAS again.
One of the things I think that some people might want to hear you maybe give your perspective on is some things that have been kind of floating around there on the discussion boards and internet, where there was a dispute about who really owns OMAS. Yeah. And one particular entity is saying that it owns the trademark to it, and then while you're saying that, well, this is OMAS Reborn, it seems to be some sort of discrepancy, of which there's people that are saying, oh, well, it's none of it's like real OMAS. Well, it's like, oh, well, really it's not, because the old OMAS is gone. The heart of that, the employees and the other aspects that, like the nib tooling and things like that, went to Scribo. But I was just wondering if you want to give maybe some of your perspective on that, to maybe like make it a little bit more clear for people about the whole, like, who is OMAS and who owns OMAS sort of thing.
Yeah, from legal perspective, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to be able to speak quite a lot. We do have our team working on that with the dispute party. And as far as I know, the trademark fall into public domain after no use. So we grab it from the no use clause, and at the end of the day, what I feel as a pen collector and everything aside from business is the OMAS brand would be, the old OMAS is gone forever. Like, there's no more old OMAS brand, and there are good part of it, there are bad part of it, they are both gone. And the new OMAS is what we're trying to live up to the heritage, the OMAS we have here. We try to live up to the heritage. The part of heritage is the classic design, all the elements you have seen on the old ones, including the celluloid. Also, on the other side, the heritage, I've been reading a lot, talking to a lot of Italian collectors or European collectors. One big aspect of OMAS is keep trying to innovate impossible. So when Armando Simoni came out with the Paragon, it was a really big deal in the 30s, really hard to process. Until today, it's still very hard to process. You hardly even seeing like a faceted pen out there. It's more of them are rounded. So with the OMAS, we want to keep the heritage, and also part of heritage is to keep innovating on what we can, to try on what we can do, try the impossible. That's my understanding of OMAS heritage, and of course, come with that is the innovation part.
Taking the steps forward to then refine the pen and refine the definition of what would make a premium luxury writing instrument.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. You were talking about the faceting on the Paragon here.
Yes.
And one of the things that you kind of take for granted, because you do see so many different faceted pens, is that, oh, well, facets, I've seen that before. But the thing is, when it comes to doing these sorts of facets, and I had learned this recently about ebonite too, is that it's very difficult to work the material. It's much easier to work material when it's rounded.
Yes.
But when it comes to making it faceted, and then on top of that, still kind of keeping these like soft sort of ridges,
Yes.
it's very difficult, especially if you're working with a material that's also flammable. So it's like you have to make sure that you're very careful not to, work this material in such a way that it's not just going to melt and or catch on fire.
And
so
also the other thing is our facet sides line up. So this is one other more important aspect for us is when the design came out, it's always lined up. It's every single Paragon we have here, the facets line up with each other. So every time you cap it, they line up for people who have who gets really annoyed about not being able to line up a pattern or special things. So we do pay a lot of attention to the details on these pens we put out.
Yeah, and I think that attention to detail comes from also you have a very broad knowledge about pens in general. I think many people would be surprised to know just how many pens that you have, and it's especially you have a very long history of different types of pens. Like you've collected Mont Blancs and you've had many OMASs I've seen come through in your pen case at one time or another, and then you're like, oh, I just sold this one, I just bought this one. You're always moving pens around. So I kind of feel that out of a lot of people that say it's oh, well, I buy and collect pens, you buy and you collect.
Yeah.
You do some serious pen collecting. I think
I do some hoarding.
Yeah, you do some hoarding too. So let's say maybe what are some things what are some of the top pens in your collection that are right now that you have?
I have some nice old Paragons, the Toledo work on.
Oh, right, the Damascus steel work and everything. Yeah,
I have some of those, and I kind of have two categories: the pens I write with every day, the pen I never write. I never write with it. That's kind of the category I don't write with. And I have some one of those the old CP in full silver Paragon, the classic pens. I have some also everyday writer. I have a full collection of all the OMAS from fountain pen, rollerball, and pencil, in every single silhouette color there is. It's just a different kind of thing. I buy different kind of things, but more or less the pen needs to have a good feeling in the hand first. When we buy a pen, it needs to write well first. Although the pen I don't write with, still I can it's feel good on your hand. I don't buy those really big pens or really tiny pens because they don't feel good in my hand.
Right.
That's the essence for me as a collector. Is I always first thing is you need to write good. Also, I collect other things the functional is always before. Just like when we build a brand, the functionality is before anything else. It needs to write good before we put on the beauty. Of course, we try to finish the little detail as possible, but still the functional, the writing part of the writing instrument is the most important part of all of the brand we are recreating here.
Thank you, Frank, for joining us here and talking with everybody about OMAS. And it was great to see what we've gotten started with, and then also kind of getting a tease for what we could expect in the future from OMAS. I think that a lot of people will be happy to see that bespoke experience roll out and be able to get some interesting custom-made pens and nibs, and just enjoy the writing process as you enjoy it with your pens every day, but enjoying it with a beautiful luxury finish type of pen that hopefully will be holding out for many years to come, that you'll be able to enjoy your OMAS pens, even young and old. So if you have some OMAS pens that have been collecting dust because they have a bad piston mechanism or something, send it to Frank. We'll put the link in the description below for that service link when it becomes available. So thank you, Frank. And was there any parting words you want to give to everybody at home?
No, just thank you everybody for supporting our work for the past 4 years, and we will be seeing a lot of you coming back for what we have for you next. I hope that's and also this is a journey we all take on as collectors. And thank you very much.
All right, and thank you guys for watching. Stay inky, my friends. Take care.